Okay, this is section or chapter 5 for pre-algebra exam review. So number 1, find the least common multiple. So multiples are bigger, factors are smaller. So multiples of 3 excuse me, are 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, etc. Multiples of 4 are 4, 8, 12, 16, etc. So the least is the smallest common number that they have. It's 12. So B, find the least common multiple of 15 and 30. So 15, 30, 45, 60. Now when I do 30, I get 30, 60, 90. So the least common multiple of these two is 30. Okay, number 2, compare each set of fractions. So what you want to do is you want to get a common denominator. So to actually compare it, if I had 5/8 and 3/5, I'm going to change both of them to have a denominator of 40. So to go from 8 to 40, you multiply by 5. So I have to multiply 5 times 5 to get 25. To go from 5 to 40, I have to multiply times 8. So I'm going to multiply 3 times 8 and get 24. So 25 fortieths is greater than 24 fortieths. Letter B, you want to get 10 and 3, so the least common multiple of 10 and 3 is 30. So you write 30 for their denominators. So to go from 10 to 30, you multiply by 3, so you're going to get 9 30ths. To go from 3 to 30, you multiply by 10, so you have to multiply 1 times 10 to get 10 30ths. So 10 30ths is greater than 9 30ths. And then the last one, the common denominator can just be an 8. So to go from 4 to 8, you multiply by 2. So you have to multiply 3 times 2 and get 6. Well, and this one's already 6/8. So these two are equal. Number 3, write each decimal as a fraction in simplest form. So this has 1 decimal point, so it's 6/10. 1 decimal part, so it's 10. If it has 2 decimals, it's going to be 100. If it's 3 decimals, it's going to be 1,000. And then this reduces to 3/5. And then letter B is 2, a big 2, and then there's 2 decimal spots, so it's 77 over 100, and that does not reduce. So there's your answer. And then 35 hundredths is 35 divided by 100. And I can divide the top by 5 and get 7, and the bottom by 5 and get 20. So 35 hundredths reduces to 7/20. And then number 4, evaluate. So when you add and subtract fractions, you have to get a common denominator. So my common denominator is going to be an 8. So I have negative 5/8 plus, I need to change 1/4 to something over 8. So I'm multiplying 4 times 2 to get 8. So I have to multiply 1 times 2. So 2/8 is the same thing as 1/4. Now I add the denominators and get numerators and keep the denominator the same. So it's negative 3/8. Letter B. First, change them into an improper fraction. So 3 times 4 is 12 plus 3 is 15/4 minus 1 times 6 is 6 plus 5 is 11/6. So my common denominator with these two, 4 and 6, is going to be 12. So to change a 4 to a 12, you multiply by 3. So you have to multiply 15 times 3 and get 45. to change a 6 to a 12, you multiply by 2. So I have to multiply 11 by 2. So now I'm going to subtract the numerator and get 33 and keep the denominator, 23, and keep the denominator the same. So the last thing you want to check, does 23 and 12 reduce? No, it doesn't, because 23 is prime. Can't divide it out. And then when you multiply fractions, you multiply straight across, but cancel out any factors that are common. So this one has a 3 and this one has a 3 on the top and bottom. So my answer is just going to be 2/5. Or if you multiplied straight across and got 6/15, you could reduce it to 2/5. But it's faster if you cancel out the factors. And then D is 7/8, but when you divide, you change this to a multiply. And then this was 9/1, and you flip 9/1 to be 1/9. Now, there's nothing that you can reduce. 7/9 doesn't reduce, 1/8 doesn't reduce, so you multiply the across the top is 7, and across the bottom is 72. There's your final answer. And then number 5, write each fraction as a decimal. Well, 2/8 is the same thing as 1/4. 1/4 we know is 0.25. 3/4 is 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4. So 3/4 is 0.75. And then C, -4 1/3 is -4.3 repeating. 1/3 is 0.3 repeating. And then the last part, order these from least to greatest. So, we can get a common denominator. We can convert all these to decimals. But if all of these numerators are 1, then on a number line, the smallest one has the largest denominator. So 1/5 looks like this. 1/4 is the same bar except for broken into fourths. So 1/4 is a little bit bigger. 1/3 is the same bar but we're broken into thirds. So that's a little bit larger yet. And 1/2 is the same size, but that's broken up into 2 pieces. So the smallest one is 1/5, which is 0.2 as a decimal. The next one is 1/4, which is 0.25 as a decimal. The next one is 1/3, which is 0.3 repeating as a decimal. And the next one is 1/2, which is 0.5 as a decimal. So that's from least to greatest. Letter B. Make your number line. So I have 2 negatives, so I know I'm looking at the difference between -0.6 and -1/10. -1/10 is -1.0. -0.6 is right here. It's farther away from 0 than -1/10. So therefore the order goes -0.6, -1, and now 1/2 is 0.5, and 35/100 is going to go next. Because if I compare the 10 spot, 3 is less than 5, so it goes -0.6, -0.1, 0.35, and the last one is 1/2. So that's the order from least to greatest.